The right is definitely not sitting well.
Really?
Yeah.
You like it?
You want it?
Um,
I'll just pour it right in.
let's see. Not sitting well. Also,
It just doesn't taste good.
Yep, it's still happening. I apologize, guys. Give me just a minute to get everything set up on my end. We're testing out some new hardware, so it might cut in and out. I apologize for the quality. We're out in the middle of the field using a Weboost, and it might take it a minute to actually catch up with the stream.
You know what I mean? I can't pour it. Sorry.
it's kind of hot. And to the right side, you know?
Yeah.
Without the balance of the other, there's like no caramel, there's no black.
If those of you that are on the stream can kind of let me know in the chat that you can see everything okay, we'll go ahead and jump right in.
Hey.
Hey, Nelson, how you doing? And hey, Sandy, we'll see you here as well.
It's okay. Same.
All right.
You can wash it then.
I think we're in good shape. If you want to monitor the chat for me,
Sure.
and as questions come up, we'll go ahead and answer them. Was patient with us. Hopefully this stream is doing well. We're using a Weboost out here. I apologize, I'm trying to figure out where to look on my camera here, which has boosted the signal for us out at Barefoot Camp, but isn't necessarily perfect. So if the quality cuts in and out, you'll have to be patient, but we're going to try to get the stream underway. So I've got a moderator monitoring the chat. If you have any questions about this trailer experience, let me know, and we'll be happy to answer them live. Until we start seeing these questions come in, I'll just kind of brief everybody as to the kind of what we're thinking about and why this stream was so important. So for those of you that follow the channel, you probably know that this is coming up on the 1-year anniversary of trailer ownership. So I bought this thing in 2021 and received it in April of 2022. So it was literally about a 6-month wait. And I've had it a year now. I've done roughly 30 trips in it. So it's not just a one and done for me. This is something that I've actively used almost every weekend possible, depending on the weather and depending on conditions and stuff like that. So really gotten familiar with what this trailer is capable of, what it's not capable of, some of the changes that I suggested, some improvements, just recording full review, 1-year anniversary review of the trailer. So that video will be coming soon, but I really wanted to engage my audience a little bit more and just kind of present myself to you guys to answer any questions that you might be thinking about. I know a lot of people are looking into investing in these types of trailers, and I know it's a sizable purchase. So I totally get it if you're a little nervous about buying something like this. So I'm here to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm not paid by Off Grid to represent their products. So I am not afraid to tell you where this thing has some deficiencies and some of the things I wish it could do better. So let me check with the moderator and see if we have any questions yet. Nothing coming in? Okay.
I'll give you one.
Yeah, so we'll just go ahead and start asking some of the common questions that I typically see. But yeah, go ahead, Norm.
Talk about the storage, and how is the storage? Is there enough storage? Would you want more or less, or how has it changed the way that you load out for your expeditions?
Great question.
And trips.
Yeah, so the question, if for those of you who might not have heard it, is, as far as storage is concerned on these units, how much can I keep in the trailer from things that I might have to haul in my 4Runner? Like, do I actually take advantage of the space? Would I want more space, less space, that kind of deal? And the truth is, space matters. I didn't think when I first bought this that I would actually take advantage of just how much space this trailer has, both in the rear here, where you would alley, and inside the cabin, which has cabinets that go pretty deep. So you can actually put stuff, clothing, blankets, stuff like that, pillows, whatever you need to, inside the trailer as well. And I find that I carry about 85% of my gear that I go camping with in the trailer full time. So all my kitchen equipment I take with me on every single trip, I keep in. And then the transient stuff that I bring out on special occasions, maybe if I'm camping with a, I'll bring a table, or I'll bring extra chairs, or I'll bring something like firewood, something that actually allows me to be flexible, but I don't have to overload my 4Runner anymore. I used to have to put all that crap in the back of the 4Runner. Now I can keep a large majority of it in the trailer. So yes, if you're looking for a type of trailer, space is king. I would definitely find one that gives you a lot of flexibility with space.
Nelson asks, did you ever get the AC vent problem taken care of by OGT?
Great question. So, for those of you that might not be monitoring the chat, Nelson asked if the AC issue was ever resolved, meaning that the ventilation and the efficiency of the AC unit. And this is actually a pretty lengthy conversation learned about the way OGT vents for the AC. And for those of you who don't know, these things can be rough cut for the Zero Breeze Mark II. So part of the cabinetry inside the cabinet is a little cubby hole that you install the Zero Breeze in. You have to do a side connection to the batteries that they come with, but it ventilates out to the outside. And I have an earlier video where I actually show the vents were like these louvered type vents, but they were had little holes in them, and it wasn't very efficient with bringing in fresh air and actually sending out the hot air. So what Off Grid did is they actually replaced those louvered vents with just caps that you screw on. So it's just a giant hole in the side of the trailer that you cover up when you're in transit, and then you take it off when you want to use your AC. I haven't had a chance to test that yet. It hasn't been warm enough in Texas for me to run it at night, but it is quickly becoming warm. Now, that being said, I did talk to Zero Breeze directly. They actually come to the Calvary Overland events because they're located in Plano, Texas. And they told me that they have been frustrated by the OGT engineering team because the holes for the vents on the inside of the cubby hole are too small. They're not big enough to actually really give them the efficiency that they needed. On top of that, the vents that come to the outside, the hot air and cold air intake are reversed, meaning that the hot air comes out of the bottom tube and the cold air gets sucked into the top tube, which, as you probably know, hot air rises. So it's literally being sucked back into the trailer. And then third, the Zero Breeze Mark II is a 2300 BTU unit. And so it struggles to keep things cooled down in very hot climates. I think the operating temperature is around 95 degrees, and anything above that, you're going to really struggle to have any kind of performance. Because of that, Zero Breeze is actually about to produce a new version called the Mark III, which will be a 5000 BTU unit. It's supposed to be the same form factor and use the same batteries as the Mark II. So if you've invested in a Mark II, you won't lose any of that investment if you decide to upgrade to a Mark III later on. They're supposed to be sending those out by the end of this year, early next year. But the prototypes will start to be shown up at like Overland Expo West. So that was kind of a long-winded answer about the AC unit, but I just want to let you know I haven't personally been able to test it with the new caps because it just hasn't been warm enough here yet. But I probably will in the next couple of weekends. So stay tuned for my my results on that that new addition to the caps. Do we have any other questions in the chat?
About awnings, you
Yes.
have the 23-0 270 awning.
Correct. Yep.
And you've used it in areas where there's a lot of sun.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been your experience with that awning? And are there options with OGT? Is that the only one they carry? Are there others? And what's been your experience over the past year? You're in Texas, so you have a lot of sunlight. Shade is important.
That is correct.
Can you speak to the awning, the 270 awning that comes with it?
Yeah, so the question is the 270 awning, you know, what's been my experience with it? Is it worth the investment? Does it actually do what it's supposed to do? And my answer to that is, yeah, we're here in Texas. We get a lot of sun. Yes, the 270 awning is almost a must-have. I do believe you can forgo getting the 270 from Off Grid and actually get the 180 or the smaller ones, even the pull-outs that don't go all the way around. But my thing is, you want that additional space for shade. It's important to be able to just set it up. Like we're out here today at the river and it's a warm day. It's like probably in the mid 80s, right? And so we rolled this thing out to get shade for the first time since the winter time. And we're thankful we have it just because it allows us to kind of hover around the shaded areas and make it much more pleasant to be outside. So if you're on the fence about that, I highly recommend it because it is worth the investment. Yeah.
So there's all the awnings and storage, but what are the really fun things about the trailer? What is a year of use? What are the things that are just crazy fun that are above it's off-road, above that's got good storage, above that the awning's cool, you've got a bathroom and all that?
Yeah.
What are like some of the fun little creature comforts that you've noticed about the trailer in the past year you've had?
Yeah, so the fun creature comforts, you know, what are some of the, for those of you who might not have heard the question, it's yes, enormous. You know, what are some of the fun aspects of the trailer to have it? Like, is it creature comforts? Is it, you know, beyond the obvious, right? That it's an off-grid type deal. Honestly, the fun part of having one of these trailers is the ability to, and I say this again and again, to just show up and within 5 to 10 minutes, you've got a drink in hand. You don't have to set a whole bunch of stuff up. You don't have to deploy a tent. You literally roll up, and the amount of setup you want to do with this trailer is really contingent on your temperature and your tolerance to getting stuff set up. If all you want to do is roll up, have a drink, and then just collapse into a bed, you don't have to deploy the sink or the awning or any of that stuff. So to me, that's the most fun aspect of this trailer is the convenience, the ability to go out there and get on site in the middle of the night and not have to worry about setting up a bunch of stuff to have a good time. And as a result of that convenience, I feel like it has motivated me to go out and do more camping. So it really does change the game when it comes to this kind of stuff, and has really encouraged me to stay outside and do more outside. Other than that, having the ability to have an AC and a furnace allows you to go out in all weather. It's one of those things where I can go out in hot climates, I can go out in cold climates. I don't have to have a particular season of the year where I actually go camping. I can go out and go anytime I want and be warm or be cool, depending on what's going on. So do you have some questions as well? I know you had a couple that you had in mind about the trailer experience.
Do you have any buyer's remorse or anything like
that?
that?
Yeah, great question. So I get asked this quite a bit too, is buyer's remorse. Do I have any buyer's remorse related to the trailer? Because it is a sizable investment. So to be transparent with everybody here, if you've watched some of my earlier videos, I talk about how much these things cost. And when I bought my trailer, this was again back in 2021, I think all in, including shipping, it was around $38,000. So that's the trailer. I had it spec'd out the way I wanted it. The delivery cost, which in and of itself was around $6,000 to get it delivered from Canada to my house. So it was a relatively large expense, and it's only gone up, right? As a supply chain and all this other stuff, I think it's gone up by another $4,000 with the base model. But what has changed is the fact that you can now get these things shipped to Base Camp Provisions in San Antonio and go pick it up there at literally 1/3 of the shipping cost that I had to pay for. So it's balanced itself out as far as the cost of the product to get the trailer. But as far as remorse is concerned, no, I've never had remorse, honestly, because it met all the needs that I had. I didn't go into this blind. If you're like me and you're watching my video right now, you're probably researching trailers. You're trying to think, if I were to buy one, what would I want to buy? And so I did a lot of that research leading up to my purchase, and it allowed me to not have any regrets after I purchased it. Now, if I wasn't using this thing and it was sitting in my backyard for months on end, yeah, I'd probably, why did I do it? But I've actually been motivated to go out and use the product properly, and as a result, I don't have any regrets. So yeah.
Two questions. We'll first do Sandy's and then we'll do
Okay.
Nelson's. We'll get back to Nelson's just to be clear. Sandy asked, on the shower suite, can it be moved forward a bit, or is it stationary?
So the shower, as far as the whole unit, or just the shower head?
The shower suite.
The
Probably
shower
the whole
suite.
Thing. The whole thing. Can it be moved?
Okay, yeah. So as far as like so the hot water heater and the furnace and the shower head and all that stuff, that's all static. That's all built into the trailer. You can't move that. But the actual curtain that you can drop down can be swung out. So I have it currently rolled out right by the side of the trailer, but there's a swing arm that you can buy as an option, which allows you to swing the shower outward and away from the trailer. The reason why you'd want to do that is if you have a rooftop tent, because your ladder is typically going to be on that side, and it would be right over the shower if you had the suite stacked up against the trailer. So having it swung out gives you a little more flexibility to have a rooftop tent should you want to, without impeding that. But keep in mind that swing arm is an option. It's not standard. So if you decide to go that route, you have to order it when you buy your trailer.
Do you know how much it costs?
I don't remember how much it cost, unfortunately. I can follow up in the comments, and I'll actually give you the price of what I paid for the swing arm. I know it was an add-on that it's a custom modification. So
let's get to Nelson's question.
Yep, let's get to Nelson's. Yep.
Nelson's got this other question. How many days have you been able to be out with the one propane bottle that the trailer comes with?
Yep.
Do you think it is a good idea to order an extra propane bracket? Probably be good to decide to explain how size a propane bottle.
That's a great question, Nelson. Thanks for asking that, because that is something that can be hit or miss depending on your usage, right? It does come with an 11-pound propane tank and the mounting system on the side. You can get it optioned for a 20-pound tank or an extra 11-pound tank on the other side. So you can end up with 22 pounds of propane should you need it. Now, what I have found is that your propane usage under normal conditions is very minimal, because you're really only using it for the on-demand hot water heater, which only turns on when you actually run the pump, in the sink or the stove. So in the summer months here in Texas, I ran on an 11-pound propane tank for probably a good 9 to 10 months before I needed to refill it, or even get anywhere close. Like I got to 50%, I went ahead and just topped it off. But over the winter months, because I'm running the furnace, that uses a lot more propane because it's kicking on a lot more times. So I went from 100% propane down to around 70% propane in a 3-night spread, to give you an idea how much propane you use with the furnace. So if you're not using the furnace, you can probably get away with 9 months of using a single 11-pound propane tank. Now, what I have done is I didn't opt for the additional brackets for the 20-pounders. I just went out and bought another 11-pound propane tank. I got it filled. It's on reserve. And what I'll do is anytime I get back from camping, I have one of those little handle weights, which I have a video on, and I just lift the propane canister. It tells me just how much is left. And if it's within 25%, like at 25% or lower, I'll leave it at home and just replace it with the other 100% that I have. And then I just kind of alternate back and forth. So, but really the Propex furnace is what's going to gobble up the most of your propane. So just be wary of that. Yep. And Sandy, did we answer your question correctly on the shower suite? Is that what you were looking for? Is on the shower curtain itself, or were you looking for the whole shower system to be moved somewhere else on the trailer?
Watch on that.
Okay.
In the meantime, next question. How have you seen your use of the storage inside the sleeping area?
Yeah.
You've got some cabinets in
Yep.
there. How have you, over a year,
Yep.
you've been in there several times.
Yep.
What stuff have you put in there? What makes sense?
Yep.
What should you put in there? What should you not put in there?
Yeah, so so the question is the cabinetry inside, right? What do I use it for? What have I put in it? What do I keep in it from things that are transient, right? That I move out. So what I keep in it all the time are my blankets and my sleeping bag, because there have been times when blankets weren't enough, and I'm glad I had my sleeping bag. Even with the Propex furnace, I still was so cold I needed an extra layer. So I keep all that in the cabinetry as well. Now I'm also a little weird in that I actually keep 2 ground tents in my cabinetry, because when I'm camping with friends, if somebody says I need a car camp, no, I got the tent for you. I got you covered. Now, most people aren't going to do that, but I do keep that kind of stuff in the cabinetry because I don't really use it for anything else. I mean, some people I've seen use it for pillows and blankets and extra stuff, but it's just me camping, so I don't need all that extra stuff. So, yeah, great question, though.
What about outside
Mhm.
on the roof and on the forward section? You've got a roam box up there.
Yep.
And you've got a roof section. Those are areas that are going to take a little longer to access.
Yep.
What do you put up there? What have you put up there?
Yeah.
What do you think is a good idea to put up there?
So the question is the roam box, which sits in the firewood area right above the batteries and all that good stuff. And what do I use it for? So I bought that 23-0. Actually, it's not a roam box. Mine's actually the 23-0. So, but it's basically the same thing. It's a 106-liter model. I bought it for a couple of reasons. One, because I wanted to be able to keep my chairs outside of the trailer, but not in the 4Runner. And so having a box to put those in allows me to get them as dirty and wet as I want and not have it mess up the inside of the trailer or the inside of my 4Runner. I also keep things like extra bungee cords, maybe some tools. I also keep my Light Ranger. So it's a that 9-foot mast. I keep that inside of there. So just things that I know I'm going to be able to break out every time, but could potentially get dirty because they're outdoor stuff. That's what I normally keep in that box. Yeah.
Back to Sandy's question, a follow-up. Just the shower curtain.
Yep.
Sandy's talking about. Wanted to see if we can move it. I understand about water unit and heater box being stationary.
Yeah. So just keep in mind that the movement of the shower is actually back, not forward. So when it swings out, and if I could show you guys this, I'll actually show you. I might not be able to wing it out. It actually swings out this way. And so it acts out a little further. So it doesn't go forward, but it does swing back. Tent ladder to be able to come down on this side. So back to the rear of this. No, yeah, a couple like that you were talking about.
Is anything that
Sorry about that, guys. We keep getting dropped because of the connection. Still hear me? So the question is, have I had to replace anything in the year that I've had this? The drain valve for the water, which you might not be able to see it, but it's right there. And that caused a leak one day, and it was dripping out the water from the water tank. And so I contacted Off-Grid Trailers, and they replaced it immediately. Within 24 hours, they shipped me a new cap. They admitted that they had a supplier problem. It was faulty, and this wasn't uncommon, so they helped me replace it, and I haven't had any issues with that since. The other thing I've replaced, which I have a video on, is the shower head. The one that these trailers come with, frankly, is garbage, and it will break pretty fast. I apologize, guys. I keep getting dropped. Sorry. Hopefully you guys are still around and enjoying the stream. But just to follow up on about the vent caps, those were replaced on my request. It wasn't due to any failure. It was due to the
Nelson asked a follow-up question. I've seen on your videos that you're keeping it stored in your backyard. How is it holding up?
Yep.
Have you noticed any sun damage?
No, so great question, because we were just talking about that earlier today. Yeah, so the question is, in previous videos, you guys know I store this thing in my backyard, and it's in the elements. I don't have a carport over it. I don't put it, I generally don't put a tarp over it. And have I seen any weathering of the trailer? And as of right now, I have not seen any weathering, and it's been out in the elements for a year. That's not to say that though. I'm also going to be installing a carport, not because I'm worried about the sun as much as the hail. We've had a lot of hail in the area, and it's just a matter of time before this thing gets the crap kicked out of it by a bunch of ice coming out of the sky. So, but other than that, no, it's fared really well. Like I said, these things are built like tanks. They're not like a traditional RV. It's going to fall apart in a couple of years. They are really well built, and as a result, I haven't seen any weathering damage from the sun. But great question.
Question on maintenance.
Yep.
The main moving parts of the trailer are going to be the wheel, axle, and the coupler.
Mm-hmm.
Are there maintenance schedules that you need to follow for the wheels, the bearings, the axle, braking, and the coupling system?
Yeah.
Hitch?
So the question is, what kind of routine maintenance do I have to perform on this trailer year over year? And really, the only maintenance that's in the book, and again, that I've actually had to worry about, there's probably more to it, but I don't do much more to this, is after about like a 50-mile journey, you're supposed to test the lug nuts on the wheels just to make sure that they remain tight. I did it well after probably 300 or 400 miles before I finally checked it, and there were no issues. There wasn't any problems with the lug nuts. As far as maintenance of the trailer itself, they do request that you winterize it in the winter. So by putting the pink stuff in the tank and running it through the lines, kind of like you would do an RV. You guys have seen in my previous video, I don't ever do that, right? In Texas, we rarely have enough icy days to where just draining the water out of the tank isn't enough, right? Where you actually have to put pink stuff in. So I've told people, as long as you drain all the water out, and that includes the hot water heater, you shouldn't ever have to winterize it, at least down here in Texas. Your mileage may vary if you live in a northern state where you're cold most of the year or a lot of the year, but down here, just make sure you have all the water completely drained out of the lines and you'll be fine. But yeah, as far as the max coupler is concerned, there's no real maintenance schedule to the max coupler hitch. But what I do before I go on any trip is I go ahead and douse the coupler attachment point WD-40 as well as the pin with WD-40 just to make the dirt get back to it. When you're not putting on the trail, stuff gets dusty all the time. You're going to want some kind of lubricant to make that easier for you.
The fridge. What options does OGT have for fridges?
Yep.
Which one do you have, and how has it been for the last 12 months that you've been using it?
Great question.
Let's talk about zones, too.
Yeah, so the question is the refrigerator. As far as the options that OGT has for the refrigerator, and what did I do? So by default, you get the Dometic, and I do believe it's like the smaller unit, which is a single zone unit. And it's probably okay for most people, but I upgraded to the Truma fridge, which is an option, and it's a 96-liter dual zone. And my whole reason for doing that is I like to carry ice with me when I go out and camp because I like to drink. So I like to have ice with my drink. So I went ahead and opted for the 96-liter Truma fridge with the dual zone, and I haven't looked back on it. As far as the capabilities of the Truma fridge, it's actually pretty cool. You got your LEDs on the front to give you an idea of the temperature. You've got a boost option so that you can get it to cool down faster. You can Bluetooth to it, so you can control your fridge from your phone while you're in your car, that kind of thing, if you like that kind of stuff. But really, just having a freezer section in your fridge is a game changer because that allows you to bring ice cream, anything you have to have remain freezing until you cook it. So I recommend getting the upgraded fridge if you decide to buy one of these. Great question.
What type of batteries do you have, and
Yep.
how long will the batteries that you have with solar get you off grid? How many days can you go and be completely off grid?
Yeah, so
Power-wise.
so by default you get the I think they're dry cells. They're
wet cell.
wet cell. The wet cells. They're not
Wet cell.
AGMs and they're not lithiums. So they're almost like a standard car battery in that sense. And you get two of them. They're dual batteries. If you opt for the solar panel, you get a 180-watt solar panel. It's Canada proof, and the thing is bulletproof, really. And I have never had an issue where I have run out of power, even on cloudy days. The solar panel is very efficient with generating some kind of power as long as you have some semblance of light. And so power has never really been much of a concern for me. Now, ultimately, my goal is to run these batteries out, like get real good use out of them, and then replace them with something like a Battleborn, some sort of lithium, because I do have concerns about going past 50%. I don't want to nuke these batteries in a bad way. And lithium allows you to go all the way flat and then recharge pretty quickly. But lithiums have their own thing, and that's a whole different video. There's some things you got to worry about from the climate. If it's too cold, they won't charge. If it's too hot, you got some issues. So everything's a trade-off. But the standard batteries that you get with this trailer by default are good enough for most people, and they will remain charged, and you'll be able to get good life out of them. Cool.
The rear storage area. In 12 months, you've probably store different things back there.
Yeah.
What's your best loadout for the back? What's been your experience with the rear storage area of the trailer?
Yeah, so the question is, what's been my experience with the rear storage, right? What have I put back there? What do I use it for? And the cool thing about the rear storage is, you've probably seen in some of my previous videos. If you haven't, I encourage you guys to go back and watch them. Is you can actually move the shelves up and down. So you can actually, raise them or lower them depending on your need, right? So you get the front runner wolf packs, which means you have to elevate the shelves up a little bit, but you can store 2 wolf packs on one shelf. And I keep all my kitchen gear in the wolf packs, things that are loose that I don't want shaking around. And the other shelves, I store things like the chocks for the wheels, my 1 level pad if I need it. I store the posts for the 270 awning go in the back, plus all the guy wires and all that junk. And then just any extras that I always need access to. So things like, my propane canisters and my striker, right? My Camp Chef striker, so that I can boil water, my coffee maker, certain things that I know I'm going to get out every single time. I don't put those in the front runner. I just kind of leave them loose back there. And I've never had any issues with stuff rattling around. So you don't have to have this thing fully maxed out to worry about, stuff moving. But I probably use my storage a little less wisely than others. I'm not an organized guy. I'm pretty lazy about it. I just throw stuff back there and I'm good. So if you ever look in the back of mine, it's pretty cruddy. It's got a lot of stuff in there, and it probably drives people that are more OCD about organizing mad. So we've got a couple more minutes. I wanted to make this about a 30-minute live stream. If there's any questions from the audience that I have not answered, or any other information I can give you, let's spend some time talking about it. Like I said, I'm an open book when it comes to this trailer.
Who should and who should not get this type of trailer? Who's this for, and who is it not for?
That's a great question. So the question is, who is this trailer really built for? Who should buy one of these from buying something else? Okay. And after a year of experience of working with this trailer, what I have realized is that it's really designed the way I spec'd it out for a couple or a solo traveler. Now, you can get the rooftop tent option and actually span that to 4 people, 2 in the tent, 2 in the cabin. But the reality is, it's really designed for the solo or the couple camper. The kitchen area is good enough for cooking for 2 people or 3 people. If you've got a crew of 6 or 7, forget it. You're not going to be able to cook on a dual burner stove for that many people. The cooking area is just too small for that. If you need what I call a motel on wheels, this is perfect for that, because it'll go anywhere your vehicle will go, and it's literally a place where you can sleep if you're on the road. Whenever I get approached about the trailer, what's interesting is that there seems to be a common thread with where people's minds are with these, and they'll ask me, do you use it to go hunting and fishing? Because it's a really cool looking little mobile cabin on wheels. You've got everything you need to be outdoors and do fishing and hunting stuff. And if that's how they're thinking about it, then yeah, this would probably be perfect for people like that, because it can get you into those remote areas, right? As long as your vehicle can get there, this thing can get there. And it is a good little base camp if you want to go out and go hunting. But I don't use it for that. I use it simply to come out and camp and enjoy the outdoors and be with my friends, and it's more convenient for me. So, but anyway, if you're a large family, 3 or 4 kids, plus a mom and dad, this is probably too small for you. I would look at a bigger unit that's got a lot more space or a lot more flexibility. So, great question. Okay. Well, I think we're pretty much good on the stream. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. Be on the lookout. I am going to do a formal 1-year review of a lot of the stuff that we talked about today with some additional elements. I'm going to be putting that up in the next few days to celebrate the actual 1-year anniversary, April 1st, of my trailer ownership. Great question on how much am I paying for insurance. We'll go ahead and get that answered real quick. So Nelson, thanks for that. So I actually just added it on to my existing car insurance policy. And I know it wasn't a lot. I think it was like, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 bucks a month, but it covers damage and theft. And they say that theft of these trailers isn't as big of a deal as damage, because people back into stuff, right? When you're trying to back the trailer into the backyard or trying to get it out, you end up smacking a telephone pole, whatever. So you really want these things protected against damage, but it's not that bad because it is considered a little camper trailer. And so just expect to put additional insurance on your car insurance, but not get gouged for it. So great question. We'll give it just another minute, just in case some other questions come up. I know the stream has a little bit of a delay, and then we'll call it good. Okay. Thank you, Nelson. I appreciate it. Thanks for all your great questions. This was a good session. I plan to do a little bit, hopefully I can do more of these live streams from the field, depending on the audience. And if you guys want to see more of this, be happy to share my experiences with you in more of a live format. Otherwise, be on the lookout for that new video that's going to be coming out in a couple of days, where I do the formal 1-year review. Love all the comments and all the descriptions. Thank you so much, guys, for your participation and your subscriptions. If there's any other kind of videos you guys want to see, let me know. Otherwise, I hope everybody's doing great, having a great weekend, staying safe, and get outdoors and get it done. Thanks, everybody.